Alright, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use subdivisions to make a high poly version of your Gladius sword. So first thing I'm going to do here is click Z to zoom out. I'm going to select my sword and I'm going to rename this Gladius underscore LP for low poly. And I'm going to come up here to the top and type in low poly. Right. Now I'm going to come over here to edit, clone, and as a copy I'm going to make a new copy called Gladius underscore HP and say OK. Now from here I'm going to right click and say hide unselected. Alright, so what we want to do, the point of this, is we want to be able to go in and just turn on our subdivision surfaces and see our sword coming in looking really nice. Right now it's kind of going to mush. In some spots it's holding together, but it's also going a little mushy in places. So here's what we're going to do. First off, we're going to click on the blade and say detach. And then say OK. We're going to say right click, say top level. Click on our sword, right click, and say hide unselected. And we're just going to focus on our blade to start with. So let's come over here, restore our viewport. And then I'm going to zoom in here on the front. Let's maximize that. So let's give this a try. I'm going to region select these edges, these down here, and these down here. So that should wrap all the way around. So what we're going to do in this case to preserve these is I'm going to go and find I'm in edit poly edge, and I want to find my edit edges rollout, which is right here. I'm going to go into connect. I'm going to set it to 2 segments, and I'm going to pinch those so that they go really far out. I want them at like 90. I'm going to go 97. I want them to be really far out there. So it's really going to retain its shape. There we go. And now we'll come in here. It should be up under Edit Swift Loop, which if I bring that around, that'll go through and add loops for me as I find little spots for them to go. So let's get one right here. Alright, and at this point, let's just turn on NURMS on this guy, and you'll only see NURMS if edit poly is the last thing in your rollout. Let's turn that back on. Let's go into default shading. Alright, still gets a little bit mushy down there at the bottom. Alright, still kind of disappears, so we got to preserve that a little bit more. So let's turn that off. Oh yeah, because this is just going to one line. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to come in here and in element, just grab the sword, and under edit geometry, go into our slice plane. Now slice plane is just going to cut lines anywhere we tell it. So I'm going to restore our viewport, and then over here in the left view, I'm going to go into rotate, turn on my angle snap. I want this to rotate like 90 degrees so it's nice and flat. There we go. And I'm just going to come over here to the front and lower it down. Now we're just zooming in on it. Really what I want to do is just get an extra edge in here. So I'm going to rotate this over. What I want to do is just have it slightly to the side. Let's zoom out. How does that impact our connections from before? Cool. Yep. We're just going to move this up. And we're actually going to put it halfway between these connections. So we're zoomed in pretty tight when we're doing this. I'll slice it here. Go to the other side and slice it there. So now we turn on our NURMS. Our sword keeps its shape there. Perfect. That's really all we wanted from that. If we look here from the side, how does this look? Yeah, he's returning his shape really nice. So I think that's looking really good for that guy. Let's turn that off. And now we're going to unhide by name. So right click, unhide by name, the Gladius. We'll say unhide. Okay, so now we'll just do a pass on this guy. And so one thing we want to do with this in order to preserve our forms is that, let's see, edit, Swift loop. And I'm just going to come in here and right around these key points just drop in edges like that. At all my major transitions. Right at the top here. Alright. Okay, so I kind of went up, found all those, and now if I hit NURMS, this is what this guy does. You see how he, if I toggle that on and off, you can see how it retains its shape much better than it did before. Yeah, I think that's looking really, really good. So let's turn that off. I'm going to go into attach. I'm going to attach, oops, select the handle, go into attach, and then reattach that blade. And now we have a nice NURMS version. One thing we do want to do at this point is go into element, and we're going to select all this, and we're going to just hit clear all under polygon smoothing groups, and then just click one to assign one smoothing group to the whole thing. Because at this point, all of our NURMS are going to help give us all that detail. We don't need to rely on smoothing groups for it. All right? And so that's going through and creating a NURMS, a mesh smooth version of our sword.